back here on the Rich Eisen Show to talk about the rules changes that were made in the NFL yesterday and some that were withdrawn and some were tabled. Is the lead Fox Rules analyst for their football coverage, and my good old friend from back in the day, being the head of NFL refs when he was, and I was sitting on the NFL Network Total Access, that we always had great chats as we plan to have right now. Mike Pereira. How are you, Mike?
Well, I'd say pretty darn good. You're still working, and I'm catching beautiful trout in Crane Prairie Reservoir, about 35 miles from Bend, Oregon. Just living the dream, Rich.
Yeah,
living the dream.
And when you texted me yesterday saying that you were going to be fishing when we spoke, and I'm like, hey, you sure got a good. Well, we had a nice. We had a shot of what appears to be what you're doing right now. That the reception would be good. It sounds like you're sitting right next to me, so we're all good.
I am, and Leo is just reeling in his fourth fish. I've caught 3 already today, and it's just great. But let's talk football rules. Can we do that?
We can do that, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to do exactly that. So, can you explain to people what the difference between withdrawing a proposal and what tabling a proposal actually means? Because the Sky Judge got withdrawn, and the 4th and 15 alternative to a one shot from 4th and 15 from a 25 alternative to an onside kick got tabled. What does all that mean, Mike?
Well, if it's withdrawn, then it's got to be brought up again next year. It's basically dead. If it's tabled, then they're going to look at a few more things. And I think, Rich, they brought up some good points, as they try to give teams more of an opportunity to get the ball back if they're behind. I think that, when you look first, the issue with the clock, could you just run out the clock if there was 2 seconds? Then they said, that's not right. They said, okay, let's make it just a dead ball play so no time would run off the clock, and I think that was fair. But I really do think that it's too much of an opportunity to come back, because you conceivably could complete one play that gains, 40 yards and be in a position where you could kick a field goal to win the game. And that doesn't sound right. That brings back the old issue of, the overtime period when you could get the ball in the first drive, run a couple plays, kick a long field goal, win the game. So I really think it needs more thought. I personally think it needs to be junked, period. To me, an onside kick is an onside kick. The opportunities to recover are slim, down in that range of 7%. But, hey, listen, you're behind. So you shouldn't necessarily get a free shot or have it made easier for you to get the ball back. But, they'll take a further look at this. But whoever it was that kind of said, okay, wait a minute, not fair. You could win the game on one play when a normal onside kick, the ball's dead as soon as it's recovered by the kicking team, beyond the receiver's restraining line. So I think they used good sense in at least tabling that.
So then what would be the fix? If you can, I know you want to junk it. There are others who kind of like it. And by others, that would be me. I kind of dig the idea of giving one shot of seeing an actual football play as opposed to some sort of a scrum where somebody makes a boner hands team play, and then that's the way a game changes. I wouldn't mind seeing an actual football play. So would it be the distance, or for me, the issue would be one penalty flag on the defense gives the offense the ball based just on, again, on what an automatic first down would come with that play?
So then everybody's favorite defensive hold from a 4th and 15 play that gives you an automatic first down.
That drives me nuts.
It's there's too many unknowns about the thing. I just, to me, I get a little worrisome. What would be a fix? Well, I guess you could look at a fix and say that the play could maximum take you to the 40-yard line, that you couldn't go beyond that. But then that's unrealistic, basically, to shut down a play midstream, because you get beyond the 40-yard line. But, we always try to create excitement, which I think is great. To me, the Sky Judge proposal is more important. But yet, that one, to me is getting a little bit less discussion as we go forward.
So let's get to that one. Mike Pereira here on the Rich Eisen Show. It's funny when we saw Senior Technology Advisor being the title that either somebody who Maybe they're the ones who came up with the wardrobe malfunction concept the other, many years ago to call. I text you. I'm like, what's a senior technology advisor? You want to respond what your text was back to me?
Yeah, it's a sky judge, for God's sakes. We want to call it something different than what the AAF called it, and you want to do it a different way. And when I look back at the AAF sky judge position, who put it together? Hall of Famer Bill Polian, and I think he did a good job in discussion with those of us involved in the league to say let's limit it. But limit it in the two most important aspects, I guess you would say, in the game: player safety, so that a sky judge, not somebody sitting in the replay booth, not the replay official who has enough to do anyways, just an eighth official in the booth with a guy to help him run the video and let him get involved in all player safety issues throughout the course of the game, and then let him get involved in pass interference in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's what it was in the AAF, and to me makes perfect sense. Player safety, if the officials on the field call a hit on a defenseless receiver because they said there was helmet contact, but the video shows that it's not, then the sky judge could call down and pick it up. Vice versa, if he doesn't call it, but it is clear helmet-to-helmet contact and a foul, he can put it on. Let's focus on what the league feels is the most important thing going forward with the league, which is player safety. So let's utilize the sky judge, the eighth official, much like the field judge, the back judge, and the side judge. Let's utilize him for player safety, and then let him get involved in pass interference in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. I think it's simple. I think Bill put together a good plan. And I think it could easily work here. And I understand Troy Vincent saying that they don't have the pipeline of people to, where do you get these people? I think the other simple plan is just make him a part of the crew, an official. He comes out of the college ranks like everybody else. And guess what? The deep officials rotate. So you'll be in that position, the sky judge position, every third game, and to me, then that college guy gets experience both on the field and in the booth, and I just think it's the one concept, Rich, in my opinion, that's out there that if you're really trying to change officiating, if you're really trying to make officiating better, and you're really trying to get more calls right, forget about the offside or lined up in the neutral zone or delay a game, player safety, pass interference. Let's go. It'll work. If you want to expand later, try to expand later.
And then how does, for those who might not have seen the AAF, Mike, how does it work because for me, my issue always is a flag that you don't see flying in when you're watching it. And, the crew in the truck doesn't light up the yellow flag rectangle in a manner that you see or, quickly enough. Or you're in the stands, you're at a game, and you don't see the flag thrown. Certainly. So how would a fan in the stands know a flag has been thrown? How will we know when a sky judge chimes in? And if it's late, that might really rile up a lot of people. And I understand getting it right is better than not, and that would really rile people up. I'm just concerned about the actual mechanics of it and how that would fail the process.
Let me just say this, that I think that the game has gone through so many changes and it looks so different, and people get used to it, and I think people would get used to this also. And I'd have to say that the call that is either made by the sky judge or picked up by the sky judge will be obvious. It's not something you would hope that would be incorrectly put on or incorrectly reversed. But I have to tell you, it was interesting. I went back and looked at the championship game, the Broncos at the Chiefs in 1997. That was my last game, and a horrible call that I made in that game, or failed to make. And I watched the whole game for the first time about 3 weeks ago. I have to say, after watching a 3-hour football game without instant replay, my God, it was a thing of beauty. I mean, and the interruptions that have come into the game now with instant replay, all of the stops, whether it's initiated by the replay official himself or if it's a call that a coach challenges, there's so many stops, but we've gotten used to it, and we're not going to go back. And I think since we're using technology, and there are already college conferences, they're all using the Power 5 conferences, all using 8 officials. Let's just take the step and see if it works. Look, I think it's got a hell of a lot better chance of working than the pass interference screw up last year, making that reviewable. I think it's worth the shot, Rich. It'll look different, and the flag will be delayed, but the referee will make the announcement after input from the sky judge. There was pass interference on the play, number 23 defense. It's 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Move on, go. And, the next day, probably nothing will be mentioned in the newspaper or the talk show hosts because it'll become a normal part of the game.
A few more minutes left with Mike Pereira as he's fishing right here on the Rich Eisen Show. I'll just give you the floor then on the ultimate question about pass interference no longer being a reviewable play, that there was a 0.0 full Blutarski shot of that thing being made permanent as the rule mandated, that they were going to try it for 1 year and then revisit it for permanence, just like instant replay the year that I started on NFL Network at that owners meeting and at the Breakers in Florida. So why did it fail, Mike? Was it doomed from the start? Walk me through that.
Well, it was 32-zip after 1 week of the season last year, quite frankly, in the opinion of coaches and everybody, that it wasn't going to work. And look, it's simple. I mean, there's absolutely no way that you can make a play, a judgment call like replay, and attach 2 different standards to it. So you want it called one way on the field, but then if it's get challenged or reviewed, then you want to call it a different way in replay. So it's pass interference. It either is or isn't on the field, but when it went to the replay booth and pour out Riveront, then it was like, yeah, it's pass interference, but is it big enough? Is it big enough for us to call in replay? Is it big enough to compare to what happened in New Orleans? It's senseless. It was senseless, and it wasn't fair to pour Al Riveron. And if you want to make it work, like under the sky judge position,
yes,
when you get into the last 5 minutes, it is either interference or it's not. When replay shows that the contact is early, forget about it, it's just a little bit early, but it's early, then it's interference. So use one standard, and then to me it has a chance. But I would also really make it be the end of the game, the last 5 minutes, because in that championship game in New Orleans, there was a big miss in the first quarter. Anybody talking about that? No, because it was the first quarter. It's at the end of the game when it has the impact. So I do think it can work if you use the same standard.
And again, when you said, just to wrap this up, go full circle here, you said at the beginning when something is withdrawn, it's dead. You just meant for the current season. Tabled means that it could actually mean it could actually come into being for the upcoming season. Withdrawn means it just needs to be starting from scratch the next year.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So do you think that there's a shot at a sky? Cause you sound you sound bullish on the sky judge, Mike. Certainly more than the other.
I am. This game is getting harder and harder to officiate, and the officials themselves might not, say, well, we don't want it. Well, I know they say that a lot, but the fact is, this game, the players are getting faster, getting more skill. I mean, it is a very tough game to officiate, and who gets all the criticism? The officials. So give them a tool to get the major calls right and use another official. Don't use instant replay. Don't use the replay official. Let's just hand them an aid, a different aid, so that they can basically their overall performance, including their 8th official, the sky judge, really improves.
And I'm mandated to ask you before you hang up, what was the call that you blew or you didn't make from years ago?
Oh, my God, the most simple. It was my one and only playoff game, actually, because I went into the office after my second year. But the simplest illegal contact call in the world, a down and out to McCann. I mean, he actually ran out and up, and he got chucked at 10 yards, and Elway's still in the pocket. And I'm the side judge to make the call, and I froze. I swallowed the olive. I choked. Whatever you want to call it, it was awful, and I'll never forget it. And Mike Shanahan still talks to me about that.
No,
said,
come on now.
But I did.
Come on.
No, he does. He does. And here's the deal. At the end of the game, toward the end of the game in the fourth quarter, on a fourth down pass into the end zone, Tony Gonzalez went up and was hit, and he landed inbounds, out of bounds. It was so tough. Was it a force out? Was it not? What hit first out of bounds? And, of course, it fell on my shoulders, and so I ended up ruling incomplete. So they turned over the ball, and Denver won the game, and I actually was right on that one. And so I remind Mike about the right one, and then he tells me, oh, yeah, that's right. That was the great call. And, of course, we won the Super Bowl. And then I always say, well, then where's my damn ring? If I got that call right, then I should get a Super Bowl ring, for God's sake.
So if Shanahan never,
he's got a long memory.
I was about to say, so when you were the head of NFL refs and he's coming at you about something that was current, did he ever remind you that you screwed that one up, just like what he was accusing you of screwing up this time?
Yeah, right before he hung up. Yes, he would remind me of that.
Take care of yourself, Mike. Go catch your fish. Go. You got to hope they keep biting. That's Mike Pereira. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.